Hello, this is Dr. Oz. In this video, I will talk about measures of variability. We can measure variability by range, which is you take the maximum of your data and subtract minimum of your data, and that will give you the range. Variance and standard deviation is another measures. So intuition-wise, let's say these are your data points. And let's say this is your average. And standard deviation and variance is nothing more than just measuring the distance between your data points, in this case, red axis and the blue X, which is my average. So the distance, when I measure this distance, this 4 distances, and that's pretty much to do with variance and standard deviation. So of course, if this blue arcs that I draw are long, that means that my average is really almost meaningless because the data is spread out. Whereas if my data is, let's say, more like this, and my average is right here, I mean, the distance between the data points and the average here in this case is pretty similar. So average is a good representation of the data. Coefficient of variation is basically we measure that those distances between data point and average similar to standard deviation and variance, but then to normalize it, we divide it by the mean or the average to normalize it. All right. So let's take a look at an example in our next slide. Okay. So in this example, we have two different mutual funds, Fund A and Fund B. And Fund A is here paying year after year 1,100 fixed number. However, the Fund B pays sometimes 700, 2,500, 300, 1,600. So it fluctuates. Actually, I could even have negative values here. But when you look at the average return per year in 20 years, it's $1,100 per year for both funds. So which one is better? If you look at just return point of view, they are both the same. However, my fund B has a very high deviation, standard deviation, or coefficient of variation or variance, or even range. So there's variation here, and predictability of this fund is harder. Why this is worse than? Because imagine that you have monthly payments or yearly payments, school expenses, and so on. Sometimes you are paid this much, 890. Sometimes you are paid 1,800. Sometimes you are paid $100. Are you gonna plan your expenses based on $100 or $1,800? So if this is a business, you may go bankrupt if you have, let's say, expenses of 1,100 every month every year, because this year, for example, you cannot pay the bills. So variation is not something that we really love as investors. Okay, so here is the histogram for those variations. Again, payout A is awesome. We get 1,100 every single year, but on the other hand, the mutual fund B gives us different returns. It could end up somewhere between 0 to 500, or it could end up somewhere more than 2,000, but on average 1,100. All right, so that's it for this video. Next video, I will give an example home sales data using Excel. Until next video, enjoy business analytics.